Okay, we're back. I had to download that video, upload that video, then take it off this camera, and now we can get back. So let's get back to where we were. Matthew chapter 16 and verse 11. How do you not understand that I spake it not unto you concerning the bread, that you should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Then understood they how he bade them not to beware of the leaven of the bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And so the leaven here is representing the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the head of the church. Excuse me. Ooh, got colder while I was gone. And Yeshua, Jesus, railed against that doctrine. He took it to the Sadducees and the Pharisees his whole time, that we read about him in the New Testament. That's what he was after. In fact, when we can read elsewhere in the book, a little leaven leavens the whole loaf, he's talking about their doctrine there too. So in this case, also, when we remove the leaven from our homes, we should search out, because you search out the leaven, right? And you throw it out of your house, you get it out of your house. We should search out the doctrine that we're holding on to and check it out and verify it against the actual word of Yah, and that old worthless doctrine that we've been laden with, we need to get rid of that doctrine. And so during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, that is an excellent time to do that. Throw out your false doctrine. Now, how do we do unleavened bread? Excuse me, let us go back to Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, we're going to verse 15. Exodus 12, 15. And what do we read there? 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. So there you go. For 7 days, not only do you not eat leavened bread, because you've gotten rid of it all, but for 7 days you eat unleavened bread. So every day for 7 days, you got to have some unleavened bread. Even if you hate it, you got to have a little of matzah. Right? You can make it yourself. You can buy matzah crackers. You can do whatever you want, but you got to eat unleavened bread for 7 days. Why? So that you remember that he brought us out of our bondage in Egypt. Okay? All right. So eat unleavened bread. Even the first day, you shall put the leaven out of your houses. Now, I know a lot of people are like, hey, we got to get this leaven out of our house by the first day. This says, even the first day you shall put the leaven out of your houses. So get it out the first day at least. So you've got till the day after Passover, but you got to eat unleavened bread with your Passover meal. So it doesn't hurt you to do it early, but you have until the first day. Then it says, you shall put the leaven out of your houses, for whosoever eats leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day also there shall be a holy convocation, a set-apart gathering. Who are you gathering with? Ideally, you are gathering with other saints in the presence of the Father. But the real gathering here, the real convocating, if you will, is between us and the Father. It's his appointed time. And so we come together with him. And then also, in the first day, there's a holy convocation, and in the seventh day, there's a holy convocation. So, first day of unleavened bread, which is the day after Passover evening, if you will, holy convocation. Seventh day, there's a holy convocation, and no manner of work shall be done in them. So, if you have a regular job, you got to take off work that day. Save that which every man must eat. That only must be done by you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. So remove the leaven from your home, right? Okay. So what's leaven? Oh, there's a lot of talk about that. What is leaven? You ever make a sourdough bread? You ever have like an Amish friendship bread where you have the little piece and you take a little piece of that off and you throw it in your flour and water, and that makes a whole new leavened loaf, a little lump? Little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. That's what leaven was. That's what they used back in the day. They basically had what I call sourdough bread. They would take flour and water, mix it together. They just put it outside, and the natural yeast that floats through the air would land on it, would start leavening it. Sister Kate has done that before when we didn't have any yeast for her to make bread. She just put it out, finally starts leavening, and boom, she made it. She didn't continue it on like a sourdough starter, but that's what they would do. So they wouldn't have to set it out every time and wait, is yeast going to land in here? Is it going to work or not? Once they had it going, they just kept it going, and that's how they made their bread. So when they say get the leaven out, they meant that starter ball, get that out of your house, and all the bread that you've already made, if you have leftover bread or anything like that, get it out. Why do you get it out? So you don't eat leavened bread. Why don't we eat leavened bread? Because we eat unleavened bread, so we remember that he pulled us out, right? And if anybody does eat leavened bread, he's cut off from Israel. And so, wow, can you tell I've had coffee since the first video? I feel charged up. So you throw it out so you can't eat anymore. It says remove it from your house. So you take it out of your house and you remove, if you have sourdough starter or something like that, you get that out. I would submit yeast packets. You know, if you have the jar of yeast or the packets of yeast, and I just saw a video the other day, some lady had a cake of yeast. All right, get that out of your house. If you have pancake mix, you know, that's already like got it in there and it's ready to go. If you have bread or cookies or crackers or cake or anything like that, get that out of your house. Do you have to destroy it? Does it say anywhere in here to destroy it? No. No, I'm pointing at my Bible. You can't see. No, it doesn't. So what we do is we take it, stick it in 5-gallon buckets or bins, like tote bins, put the lids on them. If we have to, we tape it down, and we get it out of the house. Simple. It's not, you know, it's not such a burden keeping Torah. And that's what we do. When do you have to do this? By the end of the first day. Before the sun goes down on the first day. Get it out the first day, right? So do that. If you want to play a game with your kids and all that stuff, that's fine, but it's not required, right? You don't have to do that. And so really, really you just need to concentrate on, one, the fact that Yeshua died for our sins, right? And so he removed that from us. We are no longer under the burden of sin, of the penalty of sin, right? He's taken it off of us. That's what getting rid of the leaven symbolizes, as well as the doctrine of the Pharisees and the Sadducees, false religious doctrine, which is all throughout this land today, and it's not just from the Pharisees and Sadducees, right? So there's that. Then first fruits, very, very quickly. First fruits falls, let's go back to Leviticus 23. Dun, dun, dun. I'm looking for it. Here we go. Verse 9. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When ye come into the land which I give you, and shall reap the harvest thereof, then ye shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest unto the priest. And he shall wave the sheaf before Yahweh to be accepted for you. On the morrow after the Sabbath the priest shall wave it. And you shall offer on that day, when you wave a sheaf, a he-lamb without blemish on the first year, a burnt offering unto Yahweh, and a meat offering thereof shall be 2/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil. Notice they're not mingled with leaven, because this is during the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and wine, and a fourth part of a hin. Dun, dun, dun. Here's the deal. All the feasts are prophetic, right? What is this one prophesying? That these first fruits that he's waving. Let us turn to 1 Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. Oh, there's Romans right there. 1 Corinthians, yeah, it got cold out here. 15. What? 15:23. 1 Corinthians 15:23. But every man in his own order, Christ the firstfruits, afterwards they that are Christ at his coming. Christ was the first to resurrect, and then on the last trump, which we're talking about during the sermon time on this same channel, during the last trump, those of us who are alive and in him will rise to join him, right? But everyone else, the dead and the grave and everything, they're going to resurrect. Boom. At that time, Christ was the first fruits of many to do that. And so that has been fulfilled. Christ has resurrected. He is the first fruits. And we're thankful for that he resurrected. This feast, this appointed time, the Feast of First Fruits, is always on a Sunday. It's the day after the Shabbat. The Shabbat is always on what we call a Saturday, right? And so First Fruits is always on the Sunday that's in Unleavened Bread. If Unleavened Bread is 7 days long, no matter when it starts, there's always a Sunday in there. And on that Sunday is First Fruits. And it's a holy convocation, and you come together, and you just, you come together with the Lord, because I know a lot of you are on your own this time. Yes, it's more fun to come together with other believers, but you come before the Lord as a set-apart time, that's holy convocation with him, and you, in our case, we're thankful for Yeshua. We're thankful that he rose again. We're thankful for the promise that we have of being able to rise once we truly accept him and follow him as our Savior and as our King. And so that is the first fruits. And what do you do on that day? Be thankful. Do we sacrifice a he-lamb? No, we don't sacrifice anything anymore. He is the one sacrifice once and for all. For the memorial for this, are you growing barley, that you can wave? No, you're probably not. And besides that, you're not a priest. And neither am I. There are none. Just him for now. We just remember him. Come together and remember that he was the first to resurrect and that we have the promise of that resurrection ourselves when we follow him. So that is the spring feasts, Passover, Unleavened Bread, and Feast of First Fruits in a nutshell. You can do this. And again, for those of you who don't have a lamb, don't have a goat, of the first year with unblemished, don't sweat the small stuff, right? Do the best you can with what you got, where you're at. I wish his blessings upon you as you do these things that he commands us to do, that he tells us to do. You take the time to be set apart for him, and may you have a blessed Passover. I'll see you out there.